Okay, we're rolling.
Rolling? We're taping? Ah!
We're on tape, yeah. So, Mr. Zanderbots, how are you today?
Good.
Let me get into view here. There we go. Kind of bad lighting situation we're in. What is it we're doing right now, Mr. Bouts? Looks like it's
a puzzle.
Puzzle. A puzzle of what?
Chicago.
Da-da-da, Chicago. Have you been to Chicago?
Yes, I have.
You have?
About 3 times.
Why? What did you do when you went to Chicago?
I think once we went to the beach. Well, actually, it was a food. I think every time we went to the beach.
Beach?
Yes.
What beach?
I'm not sure.
You mean like on Lakeshore Drive?
I'm not sure.
Oh. Okay. Well, let's do this quick. We have now, we're still reading the Jesus Storybook Bible. Okay, which you, Austin, should be getting soon. And we're on page 62. Can you verify that that is page 62? Sandra?
Yes, it is.
Yes,
62.
it is. It's page 62, and it's called, what's it called? Hey, that's, hey. I'm just kidding. So, it's called, what is this chapter called?
The present.
The present. From Genesis 22, it's about Abraham and his son Isaac. Okay. It's a short one too. So I'll read first and you read next, okay? Alright, so we're starting on page 52. And you can see it's called The Present. And here again as well. Okay, God knew that his secret rescue plan, could only work if Abraham trusted him completely. God had to make sure Abraham would do whatever he asked. So a few years later, God asked Abraham to give him a present. Well, you like presents, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Speak up, what?
Yes, I do.
You like presents. Okay. Yeah, me too. Abraham liked giving presents to God. He gave God his animals. He gave God his animals. They were called sacrifices, and they were a way to say, I love you, to God. But this time, God didn't want a lamb or a goat. God wanted Abraham to give him something more, much more. He wanted Abraham to give him his son, his only son, the son he loved, Isaac. Put his boy on the altar and kill him as the sacrifice? How could God want him to do such a terrible thing? Abraham didn't understand, but he knew that God was his father who loved him, and so Abraham trusted him. You know what's interesting about Abraham?
What?
Him and his wife, I think we learned this from before. Yeah, the last chapter, they were very, very old.
Oh, it's them. I thought they were different.
Stay in view of the camera. They were very old, and God promised them a son, which he provided, which he got, and it was their only son. So they probably wouldn't have any more. So it was kind of confusing. Why would God want Abraham to kill his son when...
It's confusing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Thank you. But at the time it is, but it'll make sense here when we get to the end. Anyway, and so Abraham trusted God. Early the next morning, and at the bottom part here, early the next morning, Abraham and Isaac set off. They climbed the steep, stony trail up the mountain. Isaac carried the wood on his back. His father carried the knife and the coals. See, there they are, going up the hill to where supposedly the sacrifice is going to happen. So turn the page 64 and 65. Can you see? Looks like that. And now Mr. Zanderbout's turn to read.
Okay.
Thank you.
Papa, Isaac said, we have everything except the lamb for the sacrifice. God will give us the lamb, son, Abraham said. They built an altar and laid the wood on top. Abraham asked his son to climb on top of the wood. Isaac didn't understand, but he knew his father loved him, and so he trusted him. He climbed up on the altar, and Abraham tied his boy to the wood. Isaac didn't struggle or try to run away. He just lay there quietly and didn't make a sound. Everything was right. Abraham took the knife. Tears
Yep, that's right.
were filling up his eyes. Pain was filling up his heart. His hand was shaking. He lifted the knife high into the air. Stop, God said. Don't hurt the boy. I want him to live, not die. I know that you love him because
No, me. I know now that you love me.
Because you have given me
You would have. Sorry. Start over.
Would have given me your only son. Okay.
Very good, see? Very
You're welcome, I'm just kidding.
All right, next page. That was 65, now 64, or 66 and 67. 2 pages like that. Abraham felt his heart leap with joy. He unbound Isaac and folded him in his arms. Great sobs shook the old man's whole body. Scalding tears filled his eyes. And for a long time, they stayed there like that in each other's arms, the boy and his dad. Okay, your turn.
Suddenly, Abraham saw a ram caught in some
Brambles.
What is that? The sacrifice. God
guess
had given them what they needed just in time. The ram would die so Isaac didn't have to. And so Abraham sacrificed the ram instead of his son.
I guess brambles are like bushes.
Brambles.
So we turn the page again, and it's a dark, starry night. You can see page 68 and 69. And as they... Oh, cool, good. Looking good. Chicago. That's Chicago Theater. And as they sat there on the mountaintop, watching the embers of the fire die in the cool night air, the stars above them sparkling in the velvet sky, God helped Abraham and Isaac understand something. God wanted his people to live, not die. God wanted to rescue his people, not punish them. But they must trust him. One day, someone will be born into your family, God promised them, and he will bring happiness to the whole world. God was getting ready to give the whole world a wonderful present. It would be God's way to tell his people, I love you. Many years later, another son would climb another hill, carrying wood on his back. Like Isaac, he would trust his father and do what his father asked. He wouldn't struggle or run away. Who was he? God's son, his only son, the son he loved, the Lamb of God. Who do you think he's talking about there? Yeah. Awesome job. Thank you. All right, cool. Awesome, Austin. Talk to you next time.
Whoa, it's fun.